On this episode of Geek Dad Life, we're going to review the Casey Jones and Slash Foot Soldier Cartoon Turtle 2-pack from NECA. Hey everybody, and welcome to Geek Dad Life. It's your host, Jay Glaffelter here. The pursuit of NECA Ninja Turtle figures has been a really stressful one this summer. With insanely fast sellout times online, most likely because of bots, and then trying to find them in the wild before scalpers do, it has not been easy to get your hands on these NECA Ninja Turtles figures. But this week was more successful thanks to the awesome toy collector community here in Raleigh, North Carolina. The owner of Mag Toys, which I have showed here on the channel before, was at a Target and saw this 2-pack. He knew that I was looking for this set and he picked it up for me, so big thanks to Larry for picking this set up for me. If you saw my Casey Jones and Raphael Movie Turtles 2-pack review, you know that Casey Jones is my favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character. And while I have not been all in on the cartoon line, mainly because I wanted to focus on the movie Turtles for NECA and the more figure-based Turtles from Super 7. But when I saw this Casey Jones figure in the NECA display case at Comic-Con last year, I knew I really needed to pick up this one. This Toon Turtles line has evolved from the arcade version of these figures that were released at Comic-Con a few years ago, and they've really expanded in the past couple years, and it's mainly been a Target exclusive. The packaging for these figures is fairly simple. It's a rectangular box featuring a similar color scheme and layout to the Turtles Party Wagon. We also have cartoon versions of Casey Jones and this Slash Foot Soldier on the front. And then on the sides, we actually have pictures of the figures of Casey Jones and the Slash Foot Soldier. On the back, we have a larger picture featuring the two characters that are included in this set. We also have some cross-sell pictures for the April O'Neil versus Foot Soldier pack, Leatherhead and Slash pack, and Bebop and Rocksteady pack. I was also lucky enough this week to find the Leatherhead and Slash pack, so I'll be reviewing that one next. And then we also have a blurb, very generic, just talking about the Ninja Turtles, so it's not specific to the figures that are contained in this box. Taking the figures out of the packaging, we have a fairly simple plastic tray, a ton of accessories, and then we have the two figures wrapped with twist ties, which is a bit of a pain in the neck, but it wasn't too hard getting them out. Starting with Casey Jones, he comes in at about almost 6.5 inches, which is about 2 inches taller than his vintage counterpart, which is a little over 4.5 inches. And with the Foot Soldier, comes in a lot taller, nearly 7 inches, and it's also significantly taller than his vintage counterpart, which was kind of molded in a more squatted position, like a lot of the figures were. Casey Jones has 23 points of articulation with those double jointed elbows and knees, allows you to get into plenty of poses. It does lose some of the articulation compared to some other figures in the feet. There's no cut joint to move the calf or the boots in those directions, as well as no toe joints. But you are able to get a little bit more movement out of the rocker, which does make up for some of the articulation loss a little bit. Going over to the Foot Soldier, he has 26 points of articulation, mainly because he has that calf cut as well as the toe joints. He loses articulating point because there's no ab crunch. I don't think I can really consider the little red bar that's, I think, is kind of bendable to be an articulating point. I don't feel safe enough to really push it and test that too much. Looking at the sculpting of these figures, starting with Casey Jones, it is fantastic, on par with the best of what NECA has done so far with their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toys. It looks great. It looks like it jumped right off of the cartoon screen. Looks great in hand. It really, really sets off and stands out on an action figure toy shelf. Same goes for the Foot Soldier. It looks like it jumped right off of screen. And if you've had a Foot Soldier before, you know what to expect here. It's very similar, aside from the added kind of cut slash through his body and the extra kind of sculpting details that are included there. That comes across really well. Like, I didn't expect it to have that attaching point that actually allows you to still pose it standing up with the slash right through it. It's a nice engineering feat on this figure. Now, again, I think it is a little bit bendable. I think you can move it around a little bit. But again, it's a really thin piece of red kind of wire, so to speak. So I'm not going to push it. but maybe more people that are comfortable pushing the boundaries of their action figures can go for it. But as it is, I think it looks really good. Moving on to the paint, I think it looks fantastic. It's a very kind of toon-ish paint deco. It has like shading and stuff like that to give it that almost cartoon-like feel. Now, one of the problems I have with the cartoon paint on the NECA line is it seems to kind of rub off really easily. Like it's on the plastic, but doesn't seem to adhere to the plastic really strongly. So I think when you have the accessories that are all painted really well, mind you, and the figure, it does lead to, you know, paint rubbing off. Like when I put the baseball bat in Casey's hand, the paint immediately rubbed off. So I think you have to put a bit of caution here when displaying these, when you kind of putting them in different poses and stuff like that, because I have seen not only on my own figures but on other ones online where the paint does come off fairly easy. Now, again, I get they're trying to make these look like the cartoon characters that they represent, but that paint application process, while it looks great, like it from far away, it looks fantastic, but if you do a lot of handling of these figures, it can wear and damage the paint application. So buyer beware. Looking at the accessories, these NECA figures come with a ton, just a whole bunch of accessories. Casey Jones has a hockey stick, a goalie stick, a baseball bat, and some other type of weird bat. I kind of wish it was just 2 baseball bats so it can kind of go with the vintage figure as well as the Elias Koteas movie figure. But no, we have a weird kind of bat and then the actual more traditional baseball bat. He also has his golf club case. Now, it's very much based off of the cartoon. When comparing it to the vintage Casey Jones golf bag, the vintage one has a lot more detail than this toon version, but again, that matches well with the more simplistic animation style of the original cartoon. The foot soldier comes with a bunch of laser guns. He also has some throwing stars as well as a communicator, which I love has a like stickered picture of the figure version of Rocksteady. They also come with a bunch of alternate hands. The foot soldier more than Casey Jones, and I think that's mainly because they already had the tooling done on those hands. Casey Jones just comes with 6 total, and the foot soldier comes with 2 more at 8. Not a knock on this by any means. I feel like I have enough here with the Casey Jones to kind of put him in any position and to have him hold any of the weapons. Going side by side with the vintage figures, the Casey Jones actually matches really closely to the vintage counterpart. That's not always the case when we talk about the versions we saw on the cartoon show versus the versions we got on toy shelves, but this one matches up really well. I think it's another reason why I really wanted to get this Casey Jones, because again, it was one of my favorite toys from my childhood, my favorite TMNT character, but it looks great side by side with the vintage. But again, you can definitely see a lot of differences that match to his cartoon appearance. Going to the foot soldier, you can see big differences here. That original vintage figure was always in that kind of crouch, almost like running on his knuckles, so to speak, versus the cartoon show where they were more upright. Ungloved human-looking hands, even though in the cartoon they're robots, which made it easier to kill them on screen. But still, the height difference is really shown here as well. This is, again, a childhood survivor for me on the foot soldier figure. I've had it since 1988. And while I love the vintage foot soldiers, I've been slowly kind of building a foot soldier army in my own collection. I really like the look of the NECA toon version. Overall, I think this 2-pack turned out great. As a Casey Jones fan, we've gotten a lot of Casey love here with the movie version and now this toon version getting released in the summer of 2020. Now, finding these figures has been the biggest detractor to this collecting experience, and I know that NECA is trying a lot of different ways to make it easier for collectors to get these figures instead of scalpers. So with that being said, I think this one definitely gets the Geek Dad Life buy rating, but please do not pay super high secondary prices. They are still hitting retail. I just found this one this past week. And again, NECA seems to be doing kind of pre-orders on some of these hotter 2-packs that have been really difficult to find in the wild. As I mentioned earlier, I was successful in picking up the Leatherhead and Slash 2-pack from Target the other day. Big thanks to Jason for helping out with that. So be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and click on that bell icon to be notified when the next episode of Geek Dad Life drops. Definitely check out some of my other reviews, like my Baxter Stockman San Diego Comic-Con exclusive set, as well as the movie NECA Turtles 2-pack with Casey Jones and Raphael. And until next time, hasta luego, and goodbye.